Jonathan Allen is in the franchise history books. It's a sold-out crowd for Thursday Night Football, and you have not been given Kendall Fuller enough credit. All that and more on our 3 October Daily Commanders update. Let's go. Greetings and salutations. Welcome to your 3 October Daily Commanders update. I'm Nathan Perry. That's the Stoner. We are Ref the District on the Believe Sports Network, and we've got plenty to go about here and plenty to celebrate too, Stoner. As right off the bat, I want to give Jonathan Allen his flowers. Nikki J reporting here that he did tie the all-time sack record for a defensive tackle in that game against Philadelphia. Him and Dave Butz are now at 35.5. How big has Jonathan Allen been for this franchise?
Not only has he been everything that you could ask for a first-round pick. If you remember when he was drafted, he was questionable, right? He had some shoulder injuries at Alabama. That's kind of why he dropped 18, 16, 19, somewhere around there. And Washington picked him up. It was during this phase when Washington was like picking up all these guys that had questionable injury histories. But he's come in and he's been the great player that we thought he could be, but he's been a better leader and a better person in the community than that. So he's going to start chopping down some of these records. Here's one that probably this week, maybe next week, he passes. He's going to be in first place. There's going to be a lot. This is going to start happening quite a bit. He's just going to start chopping down all these franchise records for DTs. Pretty awesome. Love Jonathan Allen.
I do wonder. I mean, he is still very young in his career, right? Like he's not even at the 10-year mark and he's already crushing this. Now, Dave Butz, we've talked about this before, didn't have sacks being tallied for quite a part of his career there, but this is still impressive for Jonathan Allen. Where do you think he ends up total sacks for the franchise?
Oh, you want a number? Or do you want?
Yeah, he's at 35.5 right now. So where do you think he, after what we're at year 7 right now, if my math is right on the top of my head?
Yeah. Wow, that's a good question because this is the type of guy that, number one, he doesn't get hurt a lot. So it's not like he misses games all the time. So he's very durable. Man, and he's going to be around for a while because of the leader he is. So, all right, let me give you a number. 50. Exactly.
Lowballing him, in
50,
my opinion.
That's 14 and a half more sacks over the course of about 5 years.
And he's not even in the prime of his career. He is inching his way up towards the top of the NFL 100. We said, 7 years. If he lasts, another 7 years, I definitely think that he can pass 50. But I'm interested in what you think as well in the comment section. Where does he end up? He's certainly going to have a lot of opportunities, Stoner, as the snap counts came out for the game against Philadelphia, and the defensive line is all getting a lot of time. Out there.
It's too much. Let's be perfectly honest. You drafted Fedarian Mathis to be that guy who rotates in and takes the pressure off. And of course, F.A. Obata. These are two guys that we hope are going to be back this week. We'll see. They're eligible to come back, but they're there to take the pressure off of Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne, who are playing 90% of these snaps. That's too much for defensive tackles. It's going to start showing up in week 14 and 15 and 16 if they don't get those other guys back who can help rotate.
I do find it a bit surprising. I can understand not necessarily having Anderson out there, who has not the most impressive resume right now in his career. John Ridgeway, not that he has that much more of an impressive, resume in the NFL, but he's done very solid for you in his time here. Last season, and then this season, the preseason, everything. John Ridgeway was showing that he was going to continue having a solid contribution. He only played 18% of the snaps. If F.A. Obata and Fedarian Mathis come back, obviously Anderson's probably going to be back to the practice squad, but where does John Ridgeway fit into there and how many snaps? Because this is one of the reasons why I argued for Fedarian Mathis as a second-round pick, and you hated it, was we expected your backup defensive tackle, your third defensive tackle in the rotation to still play 55% of the snaps. That hasn't been the case here so far. So where are we seeing here with that split?
Well, that's the big question. And what you might see is you might see a lot more of these 5 defensive lineman sets that we haven't seen a whole lot of just because they don't have the personnel out there. With Ridgeway and Abdullah Anderson being your only 2 guys really that are rotating in at defensive tackle. Now that you've got these extra guys, whenever that happens, whether it's this week, next week, whenever, you might see a lot more 5 down defensive linemen, which could change the whole defense. We've seen the defense get gashed quite a bit this year. That could be the difference in what makes this defense a little bit better. We saw it last year when Ridgeway did start playing a lot more and they were doing those 5 DL sets, which they haven't done a whole lot in the first part of the year. So maybe that helps when those guys come back. And it'll be interesting to see who gets let go or gets sent to the practice squad or just outright released. Who are those guys on the 53 right now that are going to be let go? And could be an injury that happens or whatever. But yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Well, the Washington Commanders lost their second one in a row here. The power rankings from the 33rd team on this one, after week 4, has them at 19. And I think we're going to start doing our own power rankings here.
We are. We're tired of them.
But we're tired of these. We're tired of the PFT ones. But as far as this one's concerned, how does 19 feel for you at 2-2? And like I said, this was a much better loss than the Bills one the week before. So look at this real quick, memorize it, and then tell me where you think Washington should be.
Well, I did my own kind of informal power rankings just in my head, which is never a good thing. You really want to put that on paper because you forget a bunch of teams. But I had them right around there. 17, I think, is where I had them, which is about where they should be. I think there's I don't know how many teams are 2-2. There's 11 or 12 teams they're all 2-2. So they're all kind of bunched up there in the middle. You've got some real good teams, and you got some 3-1 teams. And you got a whole bunch of 2-2s. We're right there with all those other 2-2 teams. So I would put them anywhere from probably 15 to 20. So if you got them anywhere in there, I'm okay. You're not going to get any argument.
Yeah. This is where I have problems when it comes with numerical power rankings, is because it is I'm looking at Washington at 19 and they're behind the likes of Houston and the Rams. Tampa Bay is ahead of them.
You're saying we're definitely better than them?
And I'm saying that I would list Washington ahead of those teams right there. I can understand being behind Jacksonville, Green Bay-ish, maybe. They're right around that. Seattle, I definitely wouldn't give Seattle that much credit, in my opinion. But that's why, I don't really care for numerical ones, because it's just now you're really kind of listing out. If you were to put Washington in a bucket, you're right. Okay. They are in that mid-tier bucket around a bunch of other teams. And so it will be interesting to see where Washington does as we next week will go ahead and give out our first power ranking of the young year.
Yeah, we like to wait until week 6. It's just a policy of ours here at Rep the District. Week 6 is when we can effectively rank each team.
Very good. Exactly. It was deliberate and not at all anything other than that.
Yes.
Getting to the practice that has been here. This is just a walkthrough. It's just a very short week for Washington as they finish up the game against Philly and then immediately have to turn around and prepare for the Bears here.
Yeah.
Curtis Samuel with a quad, Jahan Dotson with an ankle, Chris Rodriguez with an illness are all out during this jog through, as Nikki J here reports. Chris Rodriguez missed the game with an illness. We saw how important Curtis Samuel was to this offense as he continues to be actually the leading wide receiver for this team. Not wide receiver 1, but just the leading wide receiver for this team.
Yeah.
Jahan Dotson, of course, making that big catch to help Washington end up tying the game at the end of regulation. What do you make with these players at least being available for a jog through?
Yeah, I think all of them are definitely going to be going on Thursday. I think probably everybody is pretty much available. Again, we'll see what happens with those 2 guys who are on IR and are eligible to come off IR. But don't get mad here, Nathan, and don't get mad, everybody who's watching and listening. But Washington has been very, very fortunate with the injury bug this year, that they haven't had any injuries. And I know everybody thinks that's a jinx and we got to knock on wood and we got to do the sign of the cross or whatever it is that you do for your religion. But they've been
burn some sage, throw the salt over your shoulder, whatever you got to do.
Do all that stuff. But they've been very fortunate with injuries. You have to admit, they haven't had really any major injuries to any major players. You have some, Logan Thomas has been dinged up. We talked about those two guys who haven't played yet this year, but nothing major. So if this is what you're worried about on the Tuesday before Thursday game, is a guy with an illness, a guy whose quad hurts a little, and a guy whose ankle, and that's it, they're going in really good shape into this Thursday night game.
Well, they'll need everybody because Washington can't afford to lose to Chicago. Need to keep that winless streak going for them, and at least they have a good game to work off of as the PFF grades the much maligned or agreed with grades here.
Yeah.
Sam Howell only getting a 65.2, 24th ranked quarterback out of 34 on the week. Yeah. Which I think is a bit surprising. If you look at a lot of the advanced metrics, he actually had a darn good game. So 65 seemed a little bit low. Brian Robinson finally getting the first stab at the running back position here, got a 71. Yeah. Curtis Samuel, like I mentioned, the top wide receiver for this unit with the 70, but Terry McLaurin right behind him with the 69. The offensive line is the one here on this offense. Is the slide does say defense, but the offense, the offensive line there. What are your thoughts on giving them those grades, which were fairly decent?
Yeah, I was okay with a lot of the grades. It's a little, it's a little quick because we're trying to prepare for Chicago, even us here at Ref the District, like the team is. But we're also still trying to look back a little bit at Philadelphia, what went right and what went wrong. I got to watch a lot of Sam Cosmi on tape. Holy cow. He was really good against Philadelphia. I mean, he was, PFF shows it. He was the 11th ranked guard out of all of them. Basically, there's 64 guards that play, and he was ranked 11th. He was really, really good against Philadelphia. Leno, he got a couple of early starts, which probably helped get him that good grade. But Philadelphia wasn't pressuring as much as Buffalo did the week before. And again, that's a little bit of the enemy's offense, Sam making quicker decisions, all that working together to give those guys a good grades. I thought they acquitted themselves quite well from the Buffalo game, but still a lot of work to do.
Yeah, the Cosme one is definitely good to see because I think a lot of people fixated on one play where he'd gotten blown up and ignored all the other plays that he had a very, very solid outing against a very, very good front for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Absolutely.
Moving to the other side of the ball here on the PFF grades, not the offense listed, but the defense. Cody Barton continues to be a massive hole for this defense. But outside of that, this defense is ranked really well, to include one Kendall Fuller.
Yeah, and we'll get to a little bit more on Kendall Fuller. But again, a lot of these grades, you look at a lot of green on there, and they gave up 34 points. Sometimes the stats, the PFF doesn't really match the score, what happened in the game in terms of overall. But Kendall Fuller, of course, was great. St. Juice was pretty darn good. We don't have Forbes up there because Forbes wasn't considered, at least for PFF's purposes, as a starter. But if you looked at Forbes grades, you go separately in there and look at them, you might bring your breakfast back up because it was not good. And we all know, we've talked about it. We're not ready to throw him away or anything, but it was easily his worst game, probably of his life.
And ranked, let me pull this one up here. He was ranked 105 out of 109.
Yeah,
on there,
not good.
With a defense of 42 overall was a 42.
I get that he's going up against a Pro Bowl player. He's going up against a guy who very well could be in the Hall of Fame one day if he keeps doing what he's been doing. A.J. Brown is a top 10 receiver in the NFL. I get it, but he's still got his butt whooped all day long. And I believe all year long so far, if you look at his year-long stats, not good. Not good at all. He's got to improve. He's got to get help. That's another thing where we talked all about Eric Bieniemy's got to help out Sam Howell in all aspects of the offense. Jack Del Rio's got to give some help to Emmanuel Forbes and not leave him out there on an island so that A.J. Brown can make a double move while the pass rush is not getting to Jalen Hurts, and he can just stand back there and wait for that double move to happen and then throw it to a wide open A.J. Brown. So he's got some work to do. He's a rookie. We all get that, but he's got to get better because now you're getting into the middle of the schedule. And now, of course, every win just is so precious, and he's just got to get better. But I think he will. I think he's got the skills to get better.
I do. And I think that I'm going to have to probably eat some crow on not his selection, but the comparison I'm about to make. He does bite really heavily on those double moves. He is looking for the big play. He hasn't had a lot of them yet. There is a certain player in this league that gets lauded for his gambling nature.
Yep.
And that's Diggs from Dallas that I personally have said is overrated. But here I will have to eat a little bit of crow here to give Diggs his flowers and say that Forbes is kind of in that same mindset. Mm-hmm. And it took Diggs a while in this league to really kind of get into winning those gambles. And we'll see Forbes continue to develop there. So,
yep, absolutely. I like that comparison. I think that's very
Diggs is very much a feast or famine kind of player. And, you know, the year that he led in interceptions was also a year that he led in most yards given up. And I think fairly close in touchdowns as well. That's just the kind of player he is. And we'll see if Forbes can develop into that. Now, Stoner, I'm not going to have to eat crow for this next one.
Let's hear it.
A lot of other people have to. It's too bad Trev isn't here because Trev would be eating a lot of crow, and honestly, quite a few of our regular listeners and viewers here on Ref the District, they don't really like Forbes. Or sorry, not Forbes. They don't like Kendall Fuller. Rather,
yeah.
I have been a staunch defender of Kendall Fuller.
You have
since he was even traded away and he came back. I've really liked Kendall Fuller and talked his high praises, and all that is finally coming to roost here as Kendall Fuller is on the PFF All-Pro early this season.
165 coverage snaps, and he's only allowed 41 receiving yards on 7 catches. That's it. The entire season. That's 4 games so far. And you compare that to everybody else, and he's right up there. He plays the run well as well. He's a good tackler. He's a veteran voice in the locker room as well. And people are starting to take notice. PFF, like you said, they have him on their All-Pro, the PFF All-Pro team so far this year as the number 1 corner. That's a big deal. I've been kind of, I don't know what the word is. I don't love him and I don't hate him.
He's
a serviceable, he's a serviceable corner, and he's valuable because he is serviceable. He's not William Jackson, and he's not Jalen Ramsey. He's somewhere right in between who's going to get the job done. He's going to be in position to make plays, and he's normally going to make the plays that the defense asks him to make. So pretty good, but
William Jackson
really good so far.
Catching a stray there and getting thrown right underneath the bus. But yeah, Kendall Fuller is a lot better than people have been giving him credit for. So I'm glad to see that he's starting to get some of this recognition as being one of the better cornerbacks in this league. They're at least, 30 or 64 starting cornerbacks. And I guarantee you Kendall Fuller, even if you don't like him, is very much a cornerback 1 in this league. And now he's shown that he's even, in the mid to upper tier of that this year with the way he's playing. In fact, PFF ranking him in their All-Pro status early this season. So great things and great starting there. Of course, I can hear the arguments coming from, of course, people are picking on Forbes and not going to him, but that's what a shutdown corner does.
That's right.
They don't get targeted. What they do, however, is bring people to their seats with their play, and that is exactly what's going to happen here. For the 3rd game in a row, it is sold out at FedEx Field. Not sold out with covers being put over like half the seats either,
Yeah.
but legit sold out for the Chicago Bears on Thursday Night Football. It is not officially a blackout game, but they are wearing black for the Commanders. So I'll be sporting the black here. How big is it though that Washington 3 sold out stadiums, home stadiums in a row for them?
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. They're doing something's going on, something's doing right. They're doing right in the front office. Fans are responding that they appreciate what's going on and they want to get out there. And this is now an event again. And if the team continues to win, it's just going to get better and better and better. And they need to win against Chicago. They have to win against Chicago. I think they're going to win the next 3. I believe they're going to be 5-2 going back against Philly again. I think Philly is game 8. I can never remember.
Yes, no, it is. So it's Bears, Atlanta, Giants, Philadelphia.
Philly. Okay,
so
yeah.
I that Philadelphia rematch is going to come out very, very quickly.
Yeah, yeah. And the place is gonna, and that's back here at FedEx, 5-2 in week 8 against Philly. Philly probably at that time will be 6-1, and it's just gonna be a wild out, just crazy day at FedEx. But yeah, Washington's gonna win Thursday. I'm very confident in that, and then I think they'll win the next 2. They'll be 5-2.
Well, we'll talk all about how they are going to win the game in our Bears preview that will come out tomorrow. Be on the lookout for that. Of course, we'll be live on Wednesday night as well. And then we'll be live here on Thursday for play-by-play and commentary. Busy week. Day after reckoning on Friday to boot. So make sure you check all of that out. Make sure you like this video if you're watching it here on YouTube. Make sure that you're subbed up and auto-downloaded if you're listening to this on your audio platforms. I'm Nathan Barry. That's the Stoner. And until next time,
give Kendall Fuller his flowers. That means you.
Be a fan.